Welcome back, Dunces family, to another episode of the Dunces Podcast, our first official podcast of the 2022-2023 NBA season. Yes, we are finally back. It's been a while. Super busy, I think, I would say, both of us. But doesn't matter. We're back. And we are here to discuss some news trending around the league. Obviously, the bad teams are doing good and the good teams are doing bad. The Warriors are 3-4 right now. Crazy stuff to think, but it all makes sense. It's all growing pains. Joel Embiid looks like trash, but I mean, we all don't really care. I think the first week everybody overreacted.
Fantasy team.
Yeah, I don't really care. Your mic is a little low, by the way. Just want to.
That's because it was far. It's good now.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, no, but I really don't care about my fantasy. I don't care about any fantasy teams, to be honest. Those, whatever. Also, we saw Josh Primo get waived. That was insane.
But we know why now.
Yeah, now we know why those accusations. It's crazy because he hasn't even touched 20 yet. He turns 20 on the 24th of December this year. He's younger than I am. That's insane. But he's an idiot. Whatever. We'll see. Hopefully, he gets better or whatever. I don't know. I don't really care. He's Josh Primo. He was a bad pick anyway. And then we look at so many other things going on around the league, but the main thing that we are here to discuss is obvious. This is basically a Nets pod at this point. Steve Nash has been fired after a 2-5 start. Is it? I believe it is. Yes, 2-5 start. We only beat the Raptors and the Pacers. And a few minutes, maybe an hour or so after, there was like a few reports saying that the Nets and Ime Udoka have basically, they're in talks of negotiating something. But then Sean Marks goes on and says, "Oh, we don't have anybody, set." But the reports were pretty accurate, saying that you guys are gonna get Udoka. I don't know. Whatever. Thing is, Nash has been fired. Isandro, give me your first thoughts when the news broke. How did you feel about the situation?
I didn't think it was going to be this early into the season, to be honest.
Really?
I mean, everybody's been talking about how bad of a coach he was, but I thought, they'd give him some more time. But I guess everybody's been kind of seeing how they were playing, and you and we went to a Nets game recently, and KD and Kyrie combined for how much, 70 something points, and they still lost to
Still
Luka.
lost.
Nobody else on that team had more than 20. It was
Yeah.
kind of crazy. Y'all got taken apart by one guy, and
Well,
I've
that
just
one
been
guy is
listening to
Luka,
watch.
though.
Still though,
Yeah, still, I know.
But I've been listening to stuff saying that their offense wasn't really that good.
They're
And
middle of
it's
the pack.
kind of
They're
like
16th.
it's kind of like we knew they were going to be bad defensively, but if their offense is bad, it's like you're just a bad team. If your defense is
Yeah.
bad and then your offense is bad, that's not a good team.
That's the
You
thing.
know,
It's not that their offense was bad. It was just mediocre. And with the talent that
it's
you
like
have on
the
that
offensive
team,
plan was give it to KD and Kyrie, which can bail you out of some stuff, but you need an actual cohesive system.
yeah, it was just that. I don't think they had that, and I think Steve Nash was just not the voice at that team. He wasn't a voice. Let's be real. I mean, I told you this over the offseason, right? Like, Steve Nash is not a good head coach, and it's not because
Yeah, you've been saying it.
it's not because he's bad in the sense of he doesn't know the game of basketball. Of course he does. He's a two-time MVP. Let's give him the respect that he deserves. He's a two-time MVP. He is basically what started the modern era of the NBA. Like, Steve Nash is a genius when it comes to the game of basketball. But as a head coach, you also need to have a specific voice in that locker room, a specific voice for your star players that actually respect you. We saw they didn't respect him the moment he was hired. Kyrie even said it. We don't need a head coach to succeed. And then KD said, it could be Steve Nash, it could be Jacques Vaughn, it could be whatever coach. It's a cohesive thing. It's no, you need a head coach to solidify what your game plan is day in and day out, whether it's offensively or defensively. That's just how things work. It's just weird that, it took them this long. And the fact that it took them so long, but also so early. And I say that because it's you guys could have fired him in the offseason, regardless of that, whatever Durant said that it was either him or Nash and Marks, but they should
I
have
guess
hired
they
him
didn't want to give
before.
him any power. No.
But they should have fired him before. But before KD even made a request like that, Nash should not have been a head coach for the Brooklyn Nets after this disappointing 4-0 sweep against Boston. And I'm
But
not
the
saying it
thing
was
is,
his fault.
KD said like after the series, like he still kind of trusted Nash, so that's why they were like, let's step off a bit
See,
because
that
our
right there
guys
was so
still.
stupid because there was no reason to trust Nash. Anybody in their right mind can see that he was not a good head coach for this organization. It's simple facts. Yes, he is actually, if you didn't know, he is the winningest head coach for the Brooklyn Nets in history at 58%. His 58% win percentage, but only one time has he, took that team past the first round, and he got swept. He got swept the other, this past off season. I mean, this past season. So no, he was not a good head coach. He was not important for our team. Now it's like, what's next? What do you do? And the Nets do the most Nets thing. They go out and they hire Ime Udoka, who I've been advocating for before he went to Boston. But now you're bringing him with all this baggage. Why are you bringing him with baggage? I don't understand. And they're planning on signing him to like a multi-year deal. That means that this is going to be your head coach for what, the next 5-6 years? Like, it baffles me how stupid sometimes their decisions can be. I get it. Udoka is going to be, if they do bring him in, he's going to be a mastermind, and the players are going to somewhat respect him. But at the same time, you already have so much baggage. I didn't even mention the whole Kyrie situation. Again, Kyrie, wow, crazy that he's going through something again. What he posted was insane. What the hell are you thinking?
Anti-Semitic, right?
It was in.
I saw a video comparing him and Kanye.
If you have Kanye advocating for you, bro, I mean, seriously, you need to like reevaluate your own life because that is insane what you're posting. Like the man is he's not all there, bro. It's such a bad situation. And Ben Simmons is garbage. The man cannot play defense. He's 6'10". He can't play defense. He cannot pass the ball like he's supposed to be passing the ball. He does nothing on offense. He airballed a layup. We saw it live. It was insane. It's just such a bad situation in Brooklyn. I don't know. That was my really mini rant. How do you feel about the Ime Udoka side of things? Do you think that would be a good hire? Just purely basketball wise. Do you think it's a good?
Fantastic hire.
Yeah.
You
Purely
know why?
basketball, right? Yeah.
All the drama is gone. What are the chances there's more drama with him? None. He's gonna be on his best behavior. Tell me
True.
I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there's nowhere else to go but up for Udoka.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, obviously, there's gonna be some stuff because this is still relatively recent. But
Yeah.
halfway through the season, end of the season, when they're contending, nobody's really gonna remember.
Okay,
Like
are,
it'll
are
be
they
in the
really
back.
going to
It'll
be
be in the back.
contending though? Are like
When I say contending, I mean like they're gonna be one of the teams in the playoffs that you think, okay, they have a real shot at making it. We
yeah.
don't think they're gonna win it, but we think they're gonna be able to make it.
See, yo, look, man. If I'm Brooklyn, I'm getting rid of Kyrie. Like after what?
He's leaving at the end of the season.
But
What do you
exactly.
mean, like now?
So the Nets just might as well just trade him for like a second round pick at this point. Is he really worth all the baggage that he brings? And the way that he was talking, Kyrie is one of those people that, just off of the looks of it, right? Kyrie is one of those people that will say so many things on Instagram to reporters, to Twitter. He'll say so many things, right? But when somebody asks him about what he said, he'll always decline to answer because it's nobody else's business. Then why are you putting it out there? Like, what's the point of you? It's the most disgusting thing that he does, and it's like, okay, when he mentioned that whole thing, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean this, all that, blah blah. Then he goes and he starts calling out Nick Friedel, and Nick Friedel is just asking him simply like, what did you mean by it? Like, if you didn't know, understandably so, okay, let's move on and we'll accept it. But the way that he was talking about, oh, but it's such a great film. It speaks to me as a religious and as a deep guy that I am. Like, bro, I'm sorry, dude. Like that ruined everything for me. Kyrie is just he's not a good talent. He's like talent. I'm sorry. He is a great talent. He's not a good person. Like just thinking about it from that perspective, he's just not a good person. He gives everybody headaches. Things have fallen off since him and LeBron just cut out. Something must have happened to him mentally. He's not good there. And I don't want to say that, just sparingly, but literally by the stuff that he does, by the stuff that he says, something is not all right there. And I hope he gets the help that he needs. He's just not going to get that here in Brooklyn. Simple as that. For all that other stuff going on with the team itself, Seth Curry is coming back. Great. Joe Harris is back. He's looking solid. But they do look a step slower. And they don't have a big. They don't have a big that can play defense in the paint. We saw, who was it? JaVale McGee, Christian Wood. These guys balling up against us. Like, we had no answer for them. Well, like, I get it. Talent-wise, the names that they have on the team is great. But what is this team really going to do? Is this another play-in season? I mean, I get it. We're only 7 games into the year, and Ime Udoka isn't there yet. Whatever he establishes, whatever he brings in, what are the expectations for this Brooklyn Nets squad? What are your thoughts? I'm not being a fan because I'm the actual fan. You, as just a basketball fan, how do you feel about this season? What do you think is their peak?
Second round. But we don't know. We have to really like you said, the sample size is so tiny. Like it hasn't looked good, but they got remember what we were talking about before the season started, right? How the coaching was the biggest thing, but the roster was good, right? Well,
Right.
theoretically, let's say Udoka comes in, and this is probably not going to happen, but he fixes anything and everything wrong with this team. They become top 10 defensively or borderline top 10 and top 5 offensively. Would that not be a contender? Would that not be
On paper, it should.
right?
On
I think
paper,
the
it
biggest
should.
question marks are how far will the coaching take this roster? Because yeah, the roster is imperfect, but they have the makings of a great team. I feel like they're maybe one or two pieces away before the trade deadline, and maybe a couple players coming back from injury and actually performing to their best ability. They're only that far away from being a Eastern Conference Finals team. I am of the firm belief, that is the case.
I think the personnel itself needs to reevaluate themselves as players. Ben Simmons needs to reevaluate who he is as a player. At one point, he was one of the best defenders in the league. At one point, he was one of the best playmakers in the league. At one point, he was somebody that we were like, okay, this guy's the next coming to LeBron. Like, at least the next coming to Magic in the sense that he can't shoot. And he has done nothing. He needs to reevaluate himself and figure out how he can be an important and a good player for this team. We need Summer League Ben. That's the player that we need. We need that version of Ben Simmons. Players like Kyrie Irving need to reevaluate himself in so many different ways. I already mentioned it before. If he decides, okay, you know what, I need to just focus on basketball, focus on my big payday, great, then we definitely have a chance. Because I think it all lies on those two. We know what KD's gonna do. We know what the rest of the roster is capable of doing. The only thing we don't know is how well can Ben Simmons perform under this amount of pressure that he's putting on himself for no real reason. And especially after the JJ Redick podcast, after he went on that podcast, there was a lot of high expectations for him, and he has done nothing but nothing but disappoint us. That's that. And for Kyrie, it's just the things that he says, the things that he does. It's always something with him, and it's never basketball related, and that's what sucks. And when it is basketball related, it's an injury that puts him out for at least half the season, including the playoffs. So I honestly I can't fathom. I can't imagine this team as great as you think that they could be under Udoka. Let's say they are top 5, whatever, top 10. What does that mean? You said it yourself. Second round, potentially Eastern Conference Finals. They're not beating Milwaukee. If the Sixers get better, and that's a whole other conversation. But if the Sixers get better, Sixers are beating them hands down. Joel Embiid is by far the best player on both teams, and James Harden is probably the second best player. Obviously not over Durant, but he's a great second option for that team. And Tyrese Maxey is balling.
I think it's close.
At this point, what are they doing? What is Brooklyn playing for? Is basically what I'm getting at. For what, one season of potentially making it to the second round again? Okay.
What can they really
built for a
expect?
championship.
What can they hope for though? Because Kyrie leaving, and then KD is obviously not happy. He'll probably request another trade.
Yeah.
Like, what can they honestly expect for this season? They can't really do anything. They're kind of hamstrung. I mean, they kind of did that to themselves, but at the same time, it was, going back to KD and Kyrie making those decisions. Like, it was partly their fault for allowing two superstars to come in and dictate what was going to happen. But at the same time, it's like you wouldn't have gotten those two superstars. So it's probably like a catch-22 is what they say.
Yeah.
But those two guys came in and kind of ruined everything.
They
Now
did.
you just
They
kind of have
ruined
to
the
deal with
culture.
it.
They ruined the
hmm
culture. With that being said, give us 1 second. We'll be back after these messages. So, Sorry about that. I hope you enjoyed the commercial that I so lovingly created for you guys. I didn't. I don't know what I'm gonna put there. We'll figure it out. But anyway, um, so with all that being said, back to this whole Brooklyn thing, right? At the end of it, whatever happens, I think in a year from now, this team will look drastically different. No Kyrie, potentially no KD, maybe not even Ben. As excited and as happy as I was to have him there, it's easy to give up on prospects early. And he's not even a prospect. He's an NBA talent already, but he's just not looking like what it is. But then again, it is only 7 games into the season. We don't know. There's a whole lot to worry about right now. But there's also other things going around the league. Isandro, did you see the new six man of the year candidate in Russell Westbrook dropped? What was it? 18, 8,
18,
8?
8, and 8, baby.
Nearly a triple double. I think that stat still matters. How did you feel about that? How weird was it to have Russ come off the bench? Let's start
Not at
off there.
all, because he should have been coming
It
off the
wasn't weird
bench.
to you. I thought it was weird.
He
It's
should
just
have been
weird
coming
looking
off
at
the
you.
bench. I guess maybe it was weird for him, but we
Yeah,
all knew,
it was
even
what's best for the
last
team. It
year,
was what's best for the
even
team.
last year, yeah, like Rush needed to be coming off the bench. Now it remains to be seen if this can continue to happen. All it takes is for one bad game that things don't go well for somebody to say something. Maybe Russ will be like, you know what, nah, I don't want to do this anymore. Clearly, I don't want to be here, whatever. But for right now, I think it's
What a
looking
beautiful
good.
moment so far.
So
That's
far, yeah.
yeah. No, I agree. I think it was bound to happen. It had to happen. I'm glad it happened. Um, Still doesn't mean that they're not going to trade for somebody like Miles Turner and Buddy Hield. Who Buddy Hield has been balling, shooting lights out for Indiana on a bad team. He's not on a good team. Um, we also saw Bojan Bogdanovic. He got a 2 year extension for Detroit. He's been balling for Detroit too. He also looks like a tradable asset. Um, Jaden Ivey's looking, bro, amazing. Cade Cunningham is coming into his own as well. Do you think he's going to be a first time All Star? I think so. I think Cade, if he keeps this going, he's going to be the LaMelo Ball All Star of last year. Where like he'll get in like just because of his name, obviously, but also I mean he so far so good, pretty good season, and maybe there's an injury here and there that just solidifies him into
So
that
lets him slot
that role.
inside. Yeah,
Yeah,
because last year I remember what Chris Middleton. A lot of people were saying he didn't really deserve to go in, and if he didn't go in, maybe somebody else would have gotten in.
right.
If people who deserve to go into the All Star, like they deserve to slot in,
Yeah,
get in, I think he's going to be one of those names. I think so. But I feel like every year there's always like one guy who like because he gets in because of his name, not really because he's got decent stats. Kind of like last year with Chris Middleton.
Middleton,
So
Mike Conley a year
it might,
before
yeah,
that. Right. Yeah.
it might rob Kate of a spot, but it doesn't change the fact that he does deserve to get in there.
I mean, he's the best player on one of the most fun teams to watch. Like let's be
Hmm.
real. It's looking like fun. A team that I am very disappointed in, but also not really. It's actually two teams. Sacramento. Sacramento's been trash. But we all knew. I mean, come on. There's no defense on that team. No one is doing anything for that team. The team is atrocious. But De'Aaron Fox, so far so good with those shooting splits. Shout out De'Aaron. But the team I'm like really, really like just dumbfounded by is Minnesota. Minnesota is just it's such a weird team. Like I
What's been
look
going on with Minnesota?
like they're winning games, but you can tell the energy is off. For one thing, that whole Carl Anthony Towns post interview about Popeyes, you saw that, right? Like where he said, "Oh, I know you guys laugh about when Ant Edwards jokes around with Popeyes, but me as a leader, I don't like that. I have to be more of a leader, teach him how to diet." And then like the next day or two, their Ant goes drops like 30 something, like 38 points, and then Popeyes tweets something saying like, "Oh, shout out to those high level athletes still eating Popeyes," something like that. And it's like, and I mean, Cat, like there was no reason for you to call out your teammate in that regard because no one even asked him about Anthony Edwards. He just mentioned it. He was just like randomly talking, and that's the thing with Cat. He's one of those players that like he's a weird dude, first of all, but also like he'll just say whatever to try to sound all intellectual, whatever. Like, bro, like you're from Jersey. Like you talk like I do. Like it's not that like relax. So that was weird. But that's a team I'm really disappointed in because They gave up so much, and their defense is still lackluster. Karl Anthony Towns, you can tell that he is not a good power forward. He cannot play the power forward spot. He needs to be a big man, and they needed a more versatile power forward alongside him, somebody that can play defense and that can play defense in the paint, but also mainly on the perimeter.
Miles Turner would have been fantastic instead of
Miles Turner
him,
would have been a way
and they
better.
would have saved a lot more assets,
I agree.
and maybe Utah still would have been doing great because I mean, as we see,
Well,
they have players that Colin Sexton isn't even balling out for them, and they're still doing
he's
hot.
solid. No, Laurie Markkinen is the guy that I'm looking at. Like this guy,
Yeah,
he's looking good. I'm excited. I'm excited because I think I said it the other day. I don't know if we recorded if we posted the pod, but I said it like he was one of those players that's supposed to be pretty good for Chicago, and then he just wasn't. And then in Cleveland, we were like what is this fit? And now he finally found himself like a new home, like a new role, or even a potential trade piece because Danny Ainge knows how to find these talents and make them be somewhat good and then trade them away. So,
no, yeah, you're right. That would be fantastic because we know they're not gonna. Maybe they can try to contend for a play-in spot, but let's be honest, they're not gonna
they
make the
shouldn't.
they're not gonna make the playoffs.
Wembanyama is there, tank.
Exactly. No, like what you're saying, like they can like suit like it's him and like other players on that team who are doing kind of good. Like Jordan
They're
Clarkson's kind of been
overachieving.
balling. He's
They're
been balling
overachieving.
out a little bit too.
Yeah.
Like if they strike while the iron's hot, which they won't, but let's say they did, they can get a haul for all those players, tank, and then they'll have Wemby and a ton of other
And a
picks.
bunch of that's the
It would
thing.
be fantastic.
Those
But I
draft
think
picks are
what's
going
going
to
to
be
happen is
so
they're
much.
probably not going to strike while the iron's hot. Players are going to get cold again, and then their trade value decreases. They could probably still tank for Wemby, but they won't have nearly as much assets after. But
It's
if you have
it's a
Wemby,
Danny
you
Ainge
have
thing though.
ah
I think he does that a lot because if you remember, they could have traded for Kawhi. They could have traded for Paul George. They could have traded for Anthony Davis, but they just didn't because
he waits too long.
yeah, that's the
That's
thing.
what's going to
But
happen.
the difference was that the guys that he waited too long for ended up being Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown. Whereas these guys are, Laurie Markkinen. Can you really bank on him becoming the next Jason Tatum or the next Jalen Brown? Like, no, it's
So
Markkinen.
you think it wouldn't really be his habit coming back up again, rather than it'll just be like different this time?
I just feel like I feel like the way Danny Ainge is gonna play it is more of like a methodical approach. He has guys that if he keeps them for this season, right? For one thing, he's under the luxury tax. Great. Trade them away in this upcoming offseason. Hopefully you draft Wemby. And then from there, these players are getting traded because of their financial aspect of things. They're not making a lot of money if you think about with the new bargaining agreement. So the way he's doing it is in a way to save the Utah Jazz money and to get them that number one pick, or if worse comes to worse, that second overall pick, which will be Scoop DD Poop. So shout out Scoop, who is also balling out there in whatever team he plays for, the G League, or I don't know where he's at. But yeah, so it's stuff like that going on around the league. The Knicks look solid. Cam Reddish is having a resurgence in his career, even though he's only been, 3 years, 4 years removed from college. But he's been doing really well. Cam Reddish off the bench for the Knicks. And then Chris Paul is looking a little older. Like you can finally see his age coming to him. He's averaging like 10 points and 10 assists, which is great, but you can see the decline. He's about to be 38? Insane. And LeBron's greatness is always gonna be there. He's gonna win. He's gonna get the freaking number one. He's gonna pass it. We all know it. It doesn't matter. They still suck. We'll figure it out. I did want to say though, Nuggets are looking like that team, bro, because the Clippers are looking trash. Clippers are looking garbage right now. They are playing so bad. They need another big.
Kawhi has just been so bad, and
They
it's
need a
probably because he's coming
big,
back
bro.
from injury. But that plus the load management, it's like, when are we gonna actually see Kawhi be good? Because like
I don't
maybe
think
halfway
we'll
through
ever
the
see that
season.
again, bro. I'll be honest with you. I have no faith. No, not
Damn,
one.
bro. Hey,
Yeah.
but Zubac has been balling though. The only center
Zubac
on that
been
lineup,
cooking. I don't regret
double
waving him.
double,
Dude. I got
huh?
Herb, I got Herb Jones and Troy Murphy for that, and Troy Murphy balled out for me. Pelicans are also looking like a scary team too. Don't sleep on them. You really slept on them hard. The Pelicans are one of the top teams in the Western Conference. So
Yeah, man. I guess I was wrong about Minnesota. I'm
yeah,
not gonna claim I was wrong about the Lakers, so I still think they're gonna trade Russ.
I agree too. I don't. I still think that Minnesota's just trash though. So
I
whatever.
guess it is. I placed a little too much faith in Rudy Gobert. I should
Yeah,
have become a
those
Rudy
two bigs
hater.
don't work if they're not versatile defensively.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. I mean,
Uh,
we saw Rudy Gobert get exposed,
hmm
and now we're seeing both of them get exposed. And they're clogging up the paint. They're clogging up the paint for my
Yeah,
boy
they
Ant.
are.
Ant needs to ball out, bro. They got to get those guys out of there. If not, Anthony Edwards and Kate Cunningham coming to Brooklyn
Yes,
with
sir.
Luca, because
Hey,
Luca's coming too.
but there are bigs that are working. I heard Brooke Lopez has been doing really good.
Oh, Brook,
Really
yo,
well for
he
them.
balled out the other day with it was against Detroit actually. They were down a bit, and then Brook, Drew, and Giannis they got hot. It was like the new big three because freaking Middleton is out. So that was dope. Shout out Brook, but Brook is also older too, and he's he knows what he's doing.
I guess, but we haven't seen. I guess we've seen little bits of this, but at least to start off the season, it feels like he's just been better. Like it's just been working.
Oh, he was
People have
injured.
always
He was
questioned
injured
like
all
him
of
and
last year
Giannis fit,
too, though. Yeah,
but even before that, people were kind of questioning it, but they liked it because he could kind of drop a little bit,
right.
dropping
Spread the
big.
floor. Yeah.
But it was like relative because I mean he really wasn't great at dropping, but he was the best big to do that, right?
Yeah.
But now it's kind of like it feels like it's coming together.
Yeah.
Um, we'll see what happens when Middleton comes back, because we've always seen it where it's like one main guy gets injured, other people step up, but then he comes back and then they kind of regress a little bit, which
Right.
is
And then
fine. Like
somebody
they,
else gets injured, and then it's like a whole. It's a whole
yeah,
like.
for this team it's fine because it's like we've seen them at their potential,
Yeah,
like that
the Bucks are
works.
that good.
But it'd be interesting to
Yeah.
see if like this two man between him and Giannis like could stay the way it is, and then Chris Middleton comes back. If that happens, the only thing that's stopping this team from winning a chip like last year is an injury, in my opinion.
Yep. Because I would have seen I could have seen them winning it all last season. I mean, maybe not against Golden
I mean,
State. Well, that would have been a great series though.
it would,
Milwaukee against
yeah,
Golden State
yeah.
with a healthy Middleton and just a healthy overall team like roster to roster.
I
They
think
would have matched up
Milwaukee
really
could have
well.
had it because Celtics. It felt like at times that was their series to lose, and then they lost it like through their mistakes. And
Right.
Milwaukee wouldn't have made as many like they
Of
wouldn't
those
have really
stupid
made those mistakes.
mistakes of those
Yeah,
rookie guys in the finals, right? Like, because in
yeah.
reality, that was their first time in the finals. Whereas the Bucks, they proved it before, right?
Yeah, but remember the year that they won the finals, that was their first year in the finals, but they still stepped up.
Yep.
They still came in.
And that
So
first year in the finals, they went up against Chris Paul, and Chris Paul's never going to win. So, you know.
yeah,
Ugh.
I feel like a pseudo Chris Paul hater at this point. I don't hate Chris Paul. I don't like the overhype, to be honest. I
Yeah,
don't think he deserves a
I
ring.
think we all overhyped. Definitely overhyped him. But then again, you got to remember too. I always loved him. Like I always loved him in New Orleans. He's always a solid.
Everybody always did, especially me on like when he was on the Clippers, like
Yeah, the
Lob
Clippers are like the
City.
most thing that I. Yeah,
Like Lob City, but then they watch in Lob City, and then him like choking leads, and then they get unlucky sometimes.
with
That happens
injuries and all
too,
that stuff. Yeah,
injuries or whatever. But
that's such a
I
great
always
what
got the
if.
feeling,
That's such a great what if team though. Like
like,
imagine,
what if they didn't forget how to play basketball in those key moments?
imagine like bro, looking back on it, right? Chris Paul, JJ Redick, Matt Barnes, Blake, DeAndre, and then off your bench you got Jamal Crawford. I believe Cron Butler was there. Darren Collison. Who was their backup pick? Was it Ryan Glenn Davis? Ryan Hollins, I believe, was there. Bro, they had like a solid 10 man deep rotation. Like they fumbled that bag
Nah,
so
they
hard, bro.
did. They really did. They
That
really did.
sucks. It
Little
sucks.
tangent there.
But that was our kind of like overall overview on what's going on around the league. But mainly the Brooklyn thing. That's like that's the most important thing, if I'm being honest. It's just a bad situation in Brooklyn.
Do you think Udoka's gonna be a good hire for this team?
Basketball wise, absolutely.
No, like overall, taking everything into account.
Yeah. I mean, look, he made a mistake. Understandable. Like, the mistake was pretty big. I mean, you don't do what he did, right? Same goes with Josh Primo. It was big. It wasn't the same thing, but a lot of it kind of
I
correlates.
think Primo is worse.
Well,
I think.
yes, obviously, but I'm saying like with all the stories that came out, what happened? One of them was consensual. The other one really wasn't, but it also was. I don't know how the thing was,
Yeah,
but the thing
that's
is
yeah.
that I think that's what it was. And in Udoka, he learned. I hope he learned from his mistake. It's not like
He's a grown man. Primo is 19,
he's a
so I think
19
there's
year
a little
old
more hope
bro.
for
Look,
Udoka.
Primo. Maybe one day if you decide to like actually mature, like maybe you might find yourself on an NBA roster again, or You can work a 9 to 5 job. It's whatever. You have like he is our age. He's my age. Like we have time. Like he'll be fine. But you don't get the same thing. He's an older guy. He knew what he was doing. He said some remarks that just shouldn't have been said. Whatever. Look, I'm not gonna condone what he did, but I will say he'll be fine. He'll be fine because he'll get another job like we're seeing now. So yeah, I think it'll be a solid hire. Am I excited basketball wise? Absolutely. Am I excited when it comes to all the personalities in that locker room? Definitely not. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I am not rooting for the Nets this year. Let's go.
Let's go Dallas, baby.
Yeah, I'm a Dallas fan now. This season, Dallas fan. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Love Luka.
But with that being said, guys, please like, subscribe, and hit the like button down below. Yes, we are back. We'll try to see if we can make exclusive weekly content on what's going on around the league. Yes, we will be updating a lot of stuff. So just be attentive of that. And with all that being said, guys, peace.